Everyone. Welcome to the Sunday service. This is my favorite part of the week. I'm so happy that you're here. As we're welcoming everyone in, I'll just let you know that this is a really special week. Maybe every week is special, but I really am going to be giving you everything that I know that you can do to tune into your intuition. And a lot of people, I had somebody on the hangout afterwards, after one Sunday service, and she said, okay, what are the steps to trust yourself? And I was like, well, I teach a whole 6-week class to help you get there. So you're probably going to want to take Trust Yourself, the 6-week class, which, gives you the accountability, all of the exact exercises and timing of it, all of the logic behind it. But I know that not everyone is interested in taking that class, and that you have the power to really do a lot of this on your own. So I'm very, very happy to share with you the Trust Yourself Trifecta. It is the 3 practices, the 3 categories of activities and skills that one must develop in order to tune into their inner guidance and trust it. So if you're new here, we're live on Facebook, we're live on Instagram. I'm very happy to have you here, and we'll get started with our prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and to take some deep breaths. Let's actually start off by bringing awareness to a place in our bodies that feels good. So if your eyes aren't closed already, please close your eyes and focus on your body. Bring your awareness to a place in your body that feels good. And take 3 deep breaths into that place. So that place that feels good, you focus on it. You take a deep inhale and expand it. Exhaling, keeping your focus on that good feeling place wherever it may be in your body. Inhaling and expanding it. And one more time, focusing on that good place inside of your body. Inhaling it and expanding it. Great Spirit, all that is, thank you so much for bringing us here together today and this wonderful Sunday service. We come here to gather in community, to learn, to connect, to go deeper. We recognize that we are co-creators of this white light, keeping us in this safe and sacred space. We invite any entities of positive descent to come help us hold this safe and sacred space. And today we are here to learn the skills about how to trust yourself. We're grateful to be in community today, and so it is. Oh. Had a little technical difficulty there. Great, we're back. All right, so what we do in the Sunday service after our prayer is we start with an embodiment practice. And after the embodiment practice, we go over the Dharma talk. Like I said, we're going over the Trust Yourself Trifecta. And after that, we'll do a guided meditation, and then we'll have time today for some free psychic readings. And when the Sunday service is over, after 60 minutes, basically, we will stop these feeds, we'll restart the feeds, and we'll have a hangout. So if you have any questions, that would be the time to ask them, is in the hangout. I see someone else from the church that I grew up going to, St. Joan of Arc. We had the community coffee hour. So that's in the gathering room. So I'm always explicit, this is not a church. I'm not starting an organized religion. Yet I find that a lot of us are still thirsty for that weekly connection with Spirit, with God, with Source, with the universe, however you want to describe it. And we're thirsty for community, like-minded people. So that is what this service, this free service, is all about. So let's get into our embodiment practice. I'm just going to describe it to you. It's going to be very brief, but it is part of the Trust Yourself Trifecta. So you won't want to skip over this. So all we're going to be doing is I'm going to guide you, but we're going to be feeling into our physical bodies And we're only going to be focusing on 3 different parts. And we're going to stay with focusing on that body part. And maybe it feels good, maybe it feels bad, maybe it feels somewhere in between. But we're going to sit with that feeling that is inside of our body. And I'm going to guide you through the rest. So it's not going to take long. We're only going to be doing this 3 times relatively quickly. And this process is essential for trusting oneself, right? So everything that I do in my work is aimed at empowering you to trust your own inner guidance. So this is an essential practice. So let's get started with this embodiment practice. I invite you to close your eyes. And once again, bring awareness to your breath. Just maybe take 3 deep breaths like we did in the beginning. And once you've finished taking those 3 deep breaths, I want you to just start to picture your body as though maybe it was a classroom of children. Each body part, each organ, each section of your body is saying something different. So if you were to maybe feel into your elbows, they might feel differently than your neck. Your fingers might feel different than your toes. You might be feeling pain in one, or uncomfortableness or tightness in one, and maybe neutral or open in another. So what we're going to do in this classroom of our body is we're just going to ask a body part to, quote, raise its hand, right? Who wants to be focused on first? And it's almost like if you're using this analogy of a family with multiple children, you will want to go with the first one who raises its hand, even if it's one that you're resisting, because if you go to that one first and you don't resist it, you're going to get the most valuable information. And if no one is raising their hand, if your body seems to be so in tune and so expansive, every single part, which I doubt it, but if it does and you're not having a body part saying me first, then just pick a part. Just pick a part of the body. Everyone's got their part now, and if you don't and you're doubting yourself, you've got your part. Pick a random part, one that comes to mind. It's easy. A foot, a hand, a neck, a shoulder. Don't let yourself fool yourself that you're picking the wrong part. It's impossible. So you found your part, you found your student, you found your child who you either called on or they raised their hand, and you're just going to stay with that body part, and you're going to start to describe to yourself how this body part feels. You're going to breathe. You're going to stay with this body part. And you're coming up with descriptors. So you might come up with physical things. It feels tight, it feels loose, it feels in pain, it feels like open. As you breathe, you might feel emotion in that place. You might intuitively know, oh, this is where I'm holding my grief, or this is where I'm holding my anxiety, or this is where I'm holding my excitement. You might intuitively come up with that. Some of you might have colors or textures or symbols or stories or a song that just randomly starts playing when you tune into this body part. And as you're tuning into the body part, if your body wants you to bring your hands to that body part, whatever body part you're on is fine, but let's just say you were on the neck and your neck wanted to move, or you felt like your hands wanted to massage your neck. You're welcome to do that. This is an embodiment practice, so if you feel like moving your body, feel free to do so. It's going to feel good. And before we move on to another part, we're going to ask this body part, just like we would a kid, you know, squeaky wheel kid. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm going to say, what is it that you're trying to tell me? How can I help you? Those of you who have pets or babies, you know that you don't speak the same language as them and you have to do it intuitively. Sometimes it's through process of elimination. You're going to say, how can I help you? And what do you have to say to me? Excellent. You can't do this wrong, so don't kid yourself. You can't do it wrong. So you're just going to take another deep breath, and you're going to scan your body. You're just going to say, all right, who's next? Just like you would in a classroom. Who's next? Who wants to raise their hand? And if no one in your body is raising their hand, you call on someone. There's no right or wrong part to call on. You're going to bring your awareness to a different part of the body. Could be one right next to it. It could be on the other side. You're just going to feel, you're going to describe. Do you feel tension? Do you feel openness? Do you feel joy? Do you feel sorrow? Do you see colors? Do you feel textures? Do your hands gravitate to that to give a little self-massage? I'm going to say, how can I help you? What message do you bring to me today? Excellent. And the last body part, you're just going to inhale and exhale. And for this last one, if you feel called to focus on your whole body, let's say that you're overwhelmed with a certain emotion and you can feel it throughout your body, you can feel free to bring it to the whole body, but most of you are going to go to a third body part. And maybe this is one that feels really good, or was just healed, or feels kind of neutral, or maybe there's another pain point. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment. You're going to breathe. You're going to say what emotions, what textures, what feelings. Am I seeing symbols? Am I smelling things? Am I hearing a song? I'm going to say, thank you. What message do you have for me? How can I help you? Just like you would a student or a child. They're trying to get your attention, so you're going to give them your attention in love. You're just going to bring in that breath again. You're just going to really just send gratitude to your entire body. This is your instrument that you were given when you were born. You will have it until you die. And this is the instrument that the information comes through, called your intuition, while you're here. So you just did it. So you're going to be grateful. You're going to be grateful for the tension, for the pain, for the ease, for the joy, for the injury, for maybe you're feeling really expansive but stretched. Just going to be grateful. And when you're ready, feel free to open up your eyes. Come back to this space. So now's not necessarily the time because we're going to get into the Dharma talk, but when we get to the hangout, I'm going to straight up ask you if you stay for the hangout after this. I totally want to know what was happening for you in this. But in order for us to get through everything and to make sure we get readings this week, because it's one of my favorite parts too, we are going to make sure that we don't have some back and forth on that, but I would totally love to talk to you about what you were getting and how you can interpret it and all that jazz in the hangout. So stay for the hangout if you have time. Stay for the community gathering. So this topic, trust yourself, trifecta. Good news is we're going to be spending the next 3 weeks on this because Trifecta, obviously, there's 3 things that are needed, not 6 things. I've got both hands up, so I'll just use one hand. One hand is, both hands are like this. We've got 3 things. We've got 3 things, the trifecta, that are necessary for you to tune in and trust your inner guidance. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on it today, but we're going to dedicate an entire week to each one of these 3 things over the next 3 weeks. So I'm just super excited. All right. A little bit of preface about this is that what I've noticed, particularly with maybe students in Trust Yourself or students in Intuition 101 or coaching clients or people that I do readings for, motorcycles confirming, yeah, is that in order to really get this going, in order for you to trust your intuition, you got to change. You got to change what you're doing. You must put in more time to yourself, or spend the time that you're on yourself, that you're spending on yourself, differently. So if this were how to become an Olympic swimmer, I would say swim every day. If you didn't have a coach and you were not swimming and dedicating time to swim every day, and you showed up for coffee with someone and you said, I'm really training to be an Olympic swimmer, and I went swimming once and I don't know why the Olympics haven't called me yet. I don't know why I haven't made the finals. I think we would all say, well, you're kind of crazy. So our egos say, I need to do what? I need to do 3 things? I don't even have time to brush my teeth in the morning. I'm a mother. I'm working. I'm this. I'm a caretaker. I'm a, I barely have time to sleep, to eat, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happens is if you put in the time to trust yourself, you will not be having such a stressful time fitting in your needs. And let this trifecta be putting on your oxygen mask first. We've all heard that analogy. When you're on a plane, if the cabin should lose pressure, oxygen masks will fall from the sky. Make sure you put yours on first before assisting someone next to you. Because if you put it on your kid first, your kid may not be tall enough to reach that oxygen mask, and they'll be breathing just fine, and you will be passed out. And by the way, they will be very concerned and worried that their caretaker has passed out. I don't sugarcoat things. Many of us living in the culture that we're living in are conditioned to put other people's oxygen masks on first. And what that creates is what I call the empathetic or spiritual ego. I've been working with lots of high-powered moms recently, and when I ask them what their most important goal is they say their family's happiness and health. And after not too much talking, I'm like, do you have control over that? And because they're super smart, high-powered moms, they get it really quickly. But it's a brain pattern that needs to be broken, and it's not broken overnight. Go back to the Why Change Takes So Long video, and you'll understand what it takes to rewire your brain. What if you took a house and had to rewire the whole thing? It would take weeks. And the difference about that is once you put the wire in, it's wired. It doesn't have overgrown neural pathways that are always passing through it. You're like, you have this one pathway, and then all of a sudden something hits the old one and triggers it. You don't have that in a house. This is, you have to be constantly surveillant. So let's get into the trifecta. It's actually very simple. I'll give it to you. I'll just give you the overview, and then we'll get into it a little bit. And then I said, we're going to be spending the next 3 weeks going over explicitly this stuff, which I'm excited about. So the 3 things that you need to trust yourself is you need to be embodied. So you need an embodiment practice. Now, what we do every week is in the beginning, after the prayer, we do an embodiment practice. So if you're looking for ways to get embodied, just go back onto the blog, BetsyLaFaye.com/blog, and you will see every week after the prayer different types of embodiment practices. I think last week we did breath work. We do a lot of the tuning into the body, and the reason why we do a lot of tuning into the body here in the Sunday service is because I know that the majority of you are not getting that in your daily life. That you're not independently bringing it into your daily life, and you're not being guided on your daily life to investigate your emotions and investigate what your body is saying. So what's the formula? Well, I'm going to give you the how often for all three of these at the end. But I'll tell you, again, well, what are the benefits of trusting yourself? You're going to have to ask yourself that. What if I trusted myself in every aspect of life? And yeah, I'm a professional for 10 years, and I do have a large trust in myself. And every teacher, teaches what she needs to learn. So with a coaching client today, I was like, yeah, I didn't even know that I didn't trust the person that I married. Ha ha ha, I have a class called Trust Yourself. That's just the way it goes. I'm not ashamed of it, right? Now I do trust myself. I trust myself, and I have buffers around me to help me see what I can't see. I have specific people in my life that I have told, hey, if I can't see something, you need to show it to me. So I know that I'm safe. And I know that I'm safe, so then I can trust myself, right? So you have to ask yourself, why am I even in this Sunday service? Why do I follow Betsy? Why am I interested in intuition, right? I mean, maybe you feel nourished and you're just like, intuition, whatever. I like the guided meditations and free readings. That's cool. But synchronistically, you're learning about intuition, so there's something there. And then you have to say, what is it costing me that I'm not trusting myself? Well, I'm stuck in a job that I hate and I'm too scared to move. Well, I think I might be married to the wrong person. Well, I think I want to get married, but I'm too scared to ask. I'm not sure. Anything, boundaries, relationships, diet, the way that we live our lives, lifestyle, how we raise our kids, when and if we stand up for something to someone, how we vote, how we get educated about that, how we treat the planet, right? So I know I'm speaking to the choir, but here's the thing. If you don't have that in your mind that this is important, and more importantly, you don't have the why, what is it costing you that you're not trusting yourself? Then you're not going to train to be the Olympic swimmer. You're not going to incorporate embodiment practices more than once a week for 3 minutes because we're doing it on the Sunday service. So really you want to ask yourself, how important is it for me to trust my intuition? And I won't let any single one of you do what a lot of people project onto me, where they say, well, I'm not as good as Betsy. I won't name any names, but I have a professional medium that's one of my coaching clients. And she's like, well, I'm not nearly as sensitive as you are. And I was like, I'm not letting you say that. Anyone who's hearing my voice, who's seeing me, anyone who reads anything on social media or any blog, anytime I show up in your feed, I am a mirror of you. And if I can do it and if I feel it, you can also feel it. I wouldn't be able to teach this. So again, I'll get into the how much you want to, but what are some, I have found the two best embodiment practices are yoga and breath work. And the reason why is that they force you out of your mind into your breath. So when I'm teaching breath work, when I facilitate breath work, we do that breath, that 3-part breath for 20, 25 minutes, sometimes longer, just straight. You do that for 4 breaths and you're already lightheaded. And your ego's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'll return. this is crazy, this is uncomfortable. Some people call it confrontational breath work. What do they mean by confrontational breath work? You're confronting the mind. And the mind is going to give you every excuse to stop. It's the same thing if any of you have done yoga and you're in any position, let's say warrior two, you've got your arms out, and maybe you're there for way more breaths than you ever thought possible, and the teacher is just walking around with the mic being like, yeah, focus on the heating up in your thighs, and you are cursing that teacher out in your head. And you're like, you tried doing warrior one for this long. You're not even doing it. Please, just please make it stop. That voice in your head is the thing that's keeping you from tuning in and trusting your intuition. So how do we bypass that? These three things we're talking about, but we get into the body. So we do an embodiment practice. There are other things, Tai Chi, Qigong, sometimes things like 5 rhythms dance are good. Anything that gets you into your body. Here's what isn't good for this. I'm not going to tell anyone not to jog on the treadmill or jog or run in life or do anything at the gym, but how many of us have jogged on the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever we're doing with listening to a podcast or going over our to-dos or thinking about our ex? It's not an embodiment practice. It's not, the purpose is not for you to bypass your mind and get in your body. So all forms of physical exercise are good, but not all forms of exercise are embodiment practices. Again, I'm going to get over how frequently you need to do that at the end. So number 1, embodiment practice. Number 2, and we're going to have a whole week on what this is and what isn't. I think it's in 2 weeks we're going to have this. If not, it's in 3 weeks because we're going to, the next 3 weeks. Number 2 is the M word, meditation. All right, I'm going to give you the most potent information about meditation that you might ever hear. And again, we're going to go over this in great detail. And write this down, tattoo it on your arm, in your frontal lobe, write it down so whenever your ego says, I am not good at meditation, I can't do it, I tried it, it doesn't work, it doesn't do anything, I just keep thinking. Here's what I have to say to you. No one is good at meditation. There's no such thing as being good at meditation. And for our purposes today, it's literally, there's nobody here that can tell me that they have an inability to close their eyes for 5 minutes with a timer. If you sit down with a timer for 5 minutes and close your eyes, it doesn't matter what happens in between, you are meditating. Now, the specific type of meditation for trusting yourself is one where you're either just focusing on the breath or maximum you have a 1-syllable word that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes transcendental meditation or Vedic meditation. You could even just look up Vedic meditation and look up the syllable that's for your gender and age range. But it's not a mantra of I'm a being of love, or it's not connecting to the violet light or the planet of the day or doing the pink light meditation or any other guided meditation. Why? Because again, this type of meditation, your thoughts will come up. It's not the purpose to not think. The purpose is to become aware of your thoughts. And again, we're going to dedicate a whole week to this. But, you know, I have to tell my coaching clients this sometimes 4 weeks in a row. They're like, oh, I wasn't good at meditation this week. I kept thinking and I was so anxious and blah, blah. I'm like, hold up. Hold up. You just told me that you were aware of your anxiety thoughts this week. That means you did it right. That is what the purpose of this type of meditation is. So what it looks like is you close your eyes, you set a timer, 5 to 20 minutes, whatever you want to do. You close your eyes, you breathe. When you notice that you're thinking, then you come back to the breath or the syllable or both. When you notice you're thinking, you come back to the syllable or breath or both. When you notice you're thinking, you come back to the syllable or breath or both. That's all it is. And hear me, what I'm not saying. I am not saying the purpose is for you not to think. I'll fully admit, I work for 75% of my meditation usually. It's gotten a lot better in the last few months, and I've been meditating every day for 10 years. I will be going over my to-dos, I'll be writing emails in my head, I'll be going grocery shopping in my head, I'll be thinking about the relationships that I have, I'll be thinking about other people's relationships, stuff that's none of my business, I'll be thinking about the TV show, the podcast. And it's something that over time creates a benefit. It's kind of like an antidepressant in that way. I mean, it is an antidepressant, but a lot of antidepressants take 3 weeks to 3 months to work. You have to be taking a pill every day for 3 months for it to even show any signs of working. So you can't do it once and expect to be a professional swimmer. So the third in the trifecta is journaling. And again, I can see your eyes rolling, even if they're not. I can feel the groans. I can hear people say, I've never journaled. It doesn't work for me. I don't know what to speak about. I don't know what to write about. Well, that's cool. Don't become a professional swimmer. Just give up trusting yourself. That's cool. I was going to say no skin off my teeth, but it is, because when you trust yourself, the world gets better. When you trust yourself, the world becomes safer for me and my unborn children. When we all trust ourselves, the world shifts into the world that we want it to see, that we want to see. Thanks for all the support on Instagram. There's like hearts going like crazy. Appreciate it. I really do. So journaling. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Get over it. Get over the excuses. If you want to trust yourself. If you don't, maybe you're in the wrong place. I don't want you to leave, but again, I don't have an attachment. It's for people who want it. So what do? We, if you've ever heard of the book, The Artist's Way, we lift right from there. 3 pages in the morning. Yes, in the morning. Yes, in the morning. You can do it at night if you want. It's not as effective. You can experiment. So in the morning, you take a notebook, and it's not one of those tiny little assignment notebooks, 8 by 10 sheet. If you're doing a moleskin, that's fine. Writing smaller. Someone says truth over here, yeah. So you write 3 pages of anything that comes to you, except for one thing. The only thing that you don't write is your to-do list for the day. Now, I wind up in my journaling process, sometimes I do go over my to-dos, but I don't count it as part of my 3 pages. If I'm figuring out my schedule for the week or whatever, I actually have a different notebook for that usually. But if I'm doing that in this journal, I won't count it as the 3 pages. What you'll find, particularly in the beginning, is for most of us, not all of us, most of us will be hella distracted. Oh, I need to go on Instagram. Oh, I need to brush my teeth. Oh, I need to look outside. Oh, I need to pet the cat. Oh, I need to write this down in the grocery list. Oh, I need to call so-and-so. But I'll tell you what, if you have only this much time in the morning, it's going to help you focus. You know you need to write 3 pages. Well, it's not time to do this, that, and the other. Do you notice a pattern with all 3 of these trifectas? It's like a child who doesn't want to clean their room, and you're like, it's time to clean your room, and he or she is like, no, I've got to do the dishes, and it's like, nope, it's time to clean your room. Oh, I've got to clean my shoes. Nope, it's time to do your room. I didn't do my homework yet, so I've got to do that. That distracted child inside is actually your ego distracting you from your true power, which is trusting yourself. So you can write your dreams from the night before. You can write your dreams about the night that you can write your dreams for your life. You can write positive stuff, negative stuff, all in air quotes. Whatever is coming up. You can write affirmations. Doesn't matter. So we'll talk more about the frequency of all this stuff, but I'll give you the gist. If you don't want to get messages from your intuitive guidance system, which lives inside of your body and your physical body and your emotions, then you won't do embodiment practices. If you want to be connected to your intuition a little bit on Sundays, then you will do the 3-minute embodiment practice that we do on Sundays. If you want to walk around the world unaware of your thoughts, unaware of what is ego, what is intuition, if you want to let your unconscious thoughts control you, if you want to stay in the same patterns, then you're not going to meditate. Or you're going to do a guided meditation maybe once every other week. And here's the one, you all know that I say Merlin's beard instead of swearing, but sometimes I actually do swear. I have nothing against it if anyone else swears. But if, for instance, you wanted to eat 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, and you only wanted to digest once a week, I would call you full of shit. And it would be true. If you were not digesting the whole week and you're like, I digest on Sunday nights after the Sunday service. That's when I do my digestion. Then you're going to journal after the Sunday service, and that's it. So we'll go over more of the hows, the whens, what it's good for, how we do it, the ins and outs for over the next 3 weeks. So, come to the next Sunday services over the next 3 weeks, and also the replays are always available on the blog. And we will get into a guided meditation now, and then we'll do some readings. I already know what these readings are about. I always do. All right, so let's close our eyes. And take some deep breaths. And as you're breathing, you're going to just very briefly envision a fountain of light, of pink light in your heart. And you're going to allow your breath to pump this liquid light out of this fountain. So each deep breath in allows this to flow, and each deep breath out allows it to glow. So we're just picturing this pink light moving through and over our shoulders, all the way down our arms to our hands. We're breathing this glowing, flowing light throughout our entire chest, the back of our body, feeling it fill up our necks, breathing it, letting it flow and glow to the bottom of our skull, our jaw, top of our neck. Really feeling this fountain light up our entire skull. Maybe it's even lighting up our hair, flowing out of the top of our heads. And let's see this fountain as a fountain of pink light out of the top of our heads, flowing in all directions around us, almost like a donut. It's cascading around, it hits the floor and starts to circulate back into our feet in almost a reverse pattern. So start to feel that flowing, glowing light filling up your toes, your feet, breathing this light as it fills up past your ankles, your calves, your knees. Really filling up all of your thighs, pulling in your hips, your buttocks, your roots. Breathing as it flows and glows into your low belly and pelvis, sexual organs, as that liquid light raises and flows all the way through your midsection, your power chakra, your chest, coming all the way back, feeding that fountain in your heart. Continue that breathing so that this is circulating just like a fountain of water would. It comes out the top, it falls into the pool, and it gets recirculated through the pipes, through your feet, all the way up and out. We're going to keep that breath and that awareness, filling yourself up with this pink light, feeling that expansion. And as you yourself are now the fountain of pink light, you're going to bring up that resistant inner child in you that may have all the excuses in the book. Maybe it says, I don't have time, I don't have the support, I don't know how. And you're just going to bathe that voice, that inner child, however that entity is showing up. Just going to bathe it in the pink light. You're not here to solve anything. You're just flowing and glowing. Maybe you see that representation of you step into the fountain and be filled with the pink light. Just resting. It's okay. We don't need to solve it all in one day. Rome wasn't built in a night or in a day. Just breathing, glowing, and flowing. And maybe in this pink light, you're able to say, I desire to bring these practices in. I desire to learn and practice putting my oxygen mask on first because I know that it serves my relationships, my family, my work, my neighborhood, the environment, and really the world and universe. I know when I take care of me first that everything else works out. I've seen evidence of it, even if it's small. So together with this pink light connected to yourself, you'll figure it out. And there is support out there for you. So just a few more deep breaths in this pink fountain space, the glowing and flowing, just the relaxing. And whenever you're ready, you are welcome to open up your eyes, show your pink lighting faces to this space. And I'm very excited because we have 16 minutes, well, 15 minutes for readings. I know a couple of weeks we haven't been able to get to them, so I really wanted to make sure we got to them this week. So if you are open for a reading, all you need to do is put an emoji in the comments. So I know that you're open to receiving a reading. Not everyone will receive a reading, but keep coming back. And a few things, we don't ask questions in these readings. It's just whatever Spirit has to say. Questions are left for private readings. However, if you were feeling that it resonated after you got a reading, feel free to put that in the comments. Excellent. All right. So this is really great. We're going to start on Instagram. Also, before I start, just know that every reading is a reading for you if you're listening, even if it's on replay. And you will want to stick around to the end to hear the messages. I also want to put in there, come to the hangout afterwards, because I'm going to share what was happening for me in that embodiment practice. I'm excited to share. So we're going to start over here on Instagram. Hey, Lisa K. Interestingly enough, because you were already chosen to receive a reading, and I think you put in 2 emojis. And what's interesting is there's 2 things that are coming forward for you, and I really do feel like this is for everybody, even though it's specifically for you, Hey, Lisa K. Is there's a double-edged sword happening with you, and when you are able to recognize and name it, which I'm going to name it for you, so your job is just to recognize it when it's coming up, which is kind of all of the time right now. It's very persistent. Double-edged sword is something that we've been talking about on these sessions, which is that anxiety is actually power, and that many of us have been experiencing more anxiety lately. Wave on Instagram if you're like, I've been having more anxiety. Put a wave in there in Facebook, just a hand, so I know that if you've been feeling more anxiety lately. A lot of us have been feeling more anxiety lately, but at the same time, we have been asking for change. We have been asking for more power. And, you know, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were saying, why does change take so long? And a lot of us were feeling like, oh, like, I thought I was over this already. That energy in itself is a lot of power. All of the anxiety is coming through on Facebook at once. I think there was like a delay, a lot of people. And we've got all the people over here with putting their hands up, right? So even though you're not, hey, Lisa K, people, this is a message for you. It's just coming through her because it's coming through the strongest, which it doesn't necessarily mean this, but it could indicate for you, hey, Lisa K, that you are really on the precipice of a big change, like today, tomorrow, next week. It could be in the next couple of months. It depends on you and what actions or not actions you take. It depends on if you're resisting the change or not. So with us, with this audience, not necessarily the world at large, but a lot of us, but in this space, people who are attracted to this, we have been asking for change. We have been asking for more power. We have been getting it. And we know we've been getting it because the anxiety has risen. I'm not going to say the anxiety rising is a good sign, but it's a sign that you're getting what you're asking for. You just need to change. So if you had a fire hose and it was only, the water was only turned on halfway, and you're like, I really need this to be on full blast, and you had the fire hose and there was a rock sitting on it, on the fire hose, and you turned the blast up to all the whole way, you would have a lot of pressure behind that rock. Is there something with the water? Is there something wrong with the water or the faucet? No. The water's on full blast. You asked for it for full blast. Now you've got to get the kink out. You've got to remove the block, the rock. And if you don't, you're going to feel that build up of energy. And regardless of whether or not you remember physics, kinetic and potential energy, right? A spring that is pushed down has a lot of potential. We know about potential. As empaths, we know about potential. Has a lot of potential energy. When you let that spring go, it's kinetic. That person's really kinetic. They're really moving a lot of energy. They've got a lot of power. They're channeling a lot of energy. So what's that rock? Well, for all of us, it's fear. And that's why I was kind of so stern in the talk today. So I don't pay attention to when people come on. So if you, hey, Lisa K, were not here for the Dharma talk, you're definitely going to want to watch the replay. It'll be up on Instagram for 24 hours, and then it'll be on the blog permanently. That's kind of why I was so stern in it. It's because you, all of you, and Lisa, we have already asked for what we wanted, and we've already gotten it. We have to get out of the way. We have to make a change. So you do that by tuning into yourself, and the Trust Yourself Trifecta will help you get there. You were here. Great. So get to it. Get to your swimming lessons. Swim every day. Swimming can be an embodiment practice, but you can still go over your to-dos in the swimming, you know. So pick these things up. Start doing them. Get over that little self that says whatever it is that yours says particularly, but in general it says, I don't have time for journaling. It doesn't work for me. I don't know what to write about. I'm not good at meditation. How am I going to find time for yoga? Or I hate it, right? Just get over it. You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you, because it's everybody. Now I'm gonna add one more thing, which is the exciting part, is you, Lisa, are incredibly enthusiastic. And I just had, he is an influencer. I just had Chris Winfield say to me personally, enthusiasm is so underrated and so important. I mean, you were so enthusiastic, you put your hands in right away and you put your hand up twice. That's me. And I'm recognizing that in you, and I'm saying the world needs it. The world needs your enthusiasm. I appreciate it. It's a mirror of me. You can tell I'm enthusiastic now. It brightens up the world. It makes people excited to be around you. But you can't be enthusiastic if you're on that double-edged sword of anxiety. So a lot of people say anxiety is excitement without the breath. So you might want to start doing breath work more often. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being open and receiving the reading. All right. Okay. I'm going to go to Sarah Morris Collins. Hello, Sarah. I don't know who I'm going to read for. It's just whoever Spirit asks me to read for. So sometimes I get surprised about who I'm reading for. I'm just going to tell you that there is a song in my head, and the interpretation is literal for you and everyone else. And the song is, it just takes some time, little bit of action, I don't know the words, da-na-na-na-na, everything will be all right, all right, all right. It takes time, and everything will be all right. What you're missing is the timepiece. You just want it now. Your ego wants it now, and your ego tells you it's not here, but it is. You're doing fantastic. You cannot pay me to say, you're welcome, Lisa. You cannot pay me to say anything to you to make you feel better. I mean, you're not paying me now, but like, I don't say anything unless Spirit tells me to say it or I feel it authentically. So replay this, like cut it into pieces and have me say in your earpiece over and over again. It takes some time. Everything will be all right. You're doing fantastic. Maybe put a Post-it note on your mirror. It just takes some time. Everything will be all right. I'm doing fantastic. That's for everybody. Excellent. Let us see who is here. Let's see. We've got, all right, we're going to go to Little Shore Scott. I don't know if it's Shot or Scott. Thank you for being here. For you, I'm just going to confirm something that you already know, but relatively need the confirmation on. Nobody needs confirmation on anything, but it's going to assist you. the funny / bad feeling in your stomach about one of your main relationships, it's real. You may or you may not be able to come up with the logic as to why. I mean, what I feel like is actually what you have is like you have the whys, but there's a whole list of like why you can't change it, why you can't distance yourself, why, it's like all the reasons that we were talking about resisting the daily practice or the embodiment practice and journaling and meditation. So that feeling of this relationship is not good for me won't change. Arguably, if you don't change it, as in the relationship, this feeling will get worse. And take this from somebody who knows, even before I knew I was psychic, I was dating someone and their heart belonged to somebody else. I know we've probably all been in that situation here. And that somebody else, this is not your exact situation, I'm just telling you, and you might resonate with it. That someone else, I don't believe there's any bad people in the world, but the actions that she had performed in her past were just like any bad girl on a show that, slashes someone else's boyfriend's tires so that she can get him drunk and take him home and sleep with him kind of thing. Like there was some real bad manipulative stuff that she had done in her past. And I had the worst feeling about her. And his actions around her, he wasn't cheating. But I just knew that if it had gone on too long, that would have happened. And I loved the person I was with. And we hadn't explicitly talked about getting married, but everyone else around us had, our families, our friends, our coworkers. They called us cake toppers because we were so cute together, and he was kind of small too. And I woke up with a really horrible stomach ache, and I knew that it wasn't something I ate. I knew it wasn't illness. It was so bad that I had tears streaming down my face, and I just said, in order for me not to have her in my life, I need to cut him out of my life. And I went there on the lunch break and I said that exact thing. I'm like, I can't have her in my life. And I figured the only way to get her out is to get you out. And he didn't even blink. 9-month relationship, cake toppers, didn't even take a breath, said, I'm keeping her. Which obviously I made the right decision. And when I broke up with him, I felt this huge weight lifted. Huge weight lifted. Was I heartbroken? Yes. Dogs are green out there. But I felt so much lighter and so much freer. So I can say for sure that this is romance for you. Chances are it probably is. And it might be really hard to hear information. It's not my favorite thing to talk about. It could be something else, but that feeling that you have in your stomach that something is off is not going to go away. You don't need to know the whys because intuition is counter-logical most of the time. But now you know, hey, if you take action on it, you will see a change. So that's that. I'm going to leave that with you. All right, let's head over to Facebook here. Who have we got? Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. Oh, we've only got 2 minutes left, so we might have to stop this, say a prayer, and start it up again. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. You're welcome. You are welcome. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to close with a prayer, and then we're going to hop back on for the community gathering after. Love to chat about the embodiment practice with you, what came up for you. I'll share what happened with me. And just know we're going to continue to go over this stuff the next 3 weeks. We're going to go into detail into meditation, journaling, embodiment. And all this is gearing up. We have a 5-day challenge coming up in a few weeks. You cannot sign up yet, but it's a free 5-day challenge, free to be me. Who wants to be free to be me? Yes, it's the best. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're not signed up for my newsletter, go to betsylafay.com and sign up so you can get notifications. In our 56 seconds left on Instagram, we'll close with a prayer, but once again, we're going to start right back up. So come join us for the community gathering. So I invite us to close our eyes and take some deep breaths. Great Spirit, all that is, thank you so much for bringing us here together today to talk about trust yourself, to gather in community, to really get into trusting ourselves and to know what it takes. We know that it takes time and that everything's all right. So we trust that. We just breathe in the pink light and allow ourselves to change from there. And so it is. Excellent. So I'm going to stop this on Facebook, but I'm going to tell you, you could be anywhere in the world, and it means the world to me that you are here. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that I could help you. And until next time, may your intuition be with you.